Code Red at Soldier Field. Did you hear? Our defense just lost its last pillar in the secondary. That's right, 3 starting cornerbacks down, including our star nickel who just got back. And now he's headed back to the OR. Ryan Poles has to make a move now or we're gonna see a 179-pound practice squad corner get eaten alive by monsters like Derrick Henry. And wait, here comes the offensive bombshell. Our starting tight end's historic streak of 90 straight games snapped. Can the rookie step up against the Ravens? This changes everything about the trade deadline. Forget edge rushers, we need corners, and we need them yesterday. If the front office doesn't act, this season bleeds out. Think Poles will pull the trigger? Subscribe now or miss the game-changing move before November 5th. Bear down or go down. The defensive situation in Chicago just blew up in a way nobody saw coming. Kyler Gordon, our standout cornerback who had just returned after missing the first 4 games of the season with a hamstring injury, is back on the injury list. And we're not talking about missing a game or 2. We're talking at least for more weeks off the field. Let me break down what this means for our defense. Gordon came back in Week 6 and again in Week 7, and we all saw the immediate impact. This guy is our nickel corner, the one who's supposed to lock down the slot and shut down those short routes that have been killing us all year. Now, with groin and calf injuries, we lose him right when we needed him most. But here's what really has me worried. It's not just Gordon. Jalen Johnson is out. Tyreek Stevenson is out. That's 3 starting cornerbacks down at the same time. Let me ask you this. How is this defense supposed to compete with the league's top quarterbacks when our secondary is completely gutted? I'll tell you this. The situation is so bad that defensive coordinator Dennis Allen is gonna have to completely reinvent the scheme. We're talking about Nick McLeod moving from the slot to the outside. Josh Blackwell, a 5'11", 179-pound guy, might have to play in the slot. Do you understand what it means to put a 179-pound corner in the slot? When teams like the Ravens are running Derrick Henry, a the -100-50-2-pound beast, behind a 300-pound fullback. But hold up, there's a small silver lining in all this darkness. Gordon got some good news on Saturday. Remember that brutal hit he laid on Alvin Kamara in Week 7? The one that got flagged for unnecessary roughness? Gordon was worried the league would fine him after reviewing the play. Well, when the Week 7 fine list came out, Gordon's name wasn't on it. After the Saints game, Gordon told reporters, "I blew him up. I did my job and they didn't like it. I don't know what to say. They can check the tape. I hope I don't get fined. I'm not trying to get fined. I think I did the right thing." And he was right. The league reviewed the play and decided it didn't warrant a fine. Same deal with Jaquan Brisker, who got flagged for hitting quarterback Spencer Rattler. The league reviewed that 1-2 and decided not to fine him. Those fines can hit $17,389. So that's a big relief for these guys. Now let's talk about what this means for the immediate future. The Bears made some other roster moves on Saturday. Along with Gordon, they also placed defensive tackle Braxton Jones on injured reserve with a knee injury. Jones had already lost his starting left tackle job, and there were rumors he might be traded before the deadline to a team needing O-line help. But that knee injury slammed that door shut. In corresponding moves, the Bears signed defensive tackle Jonathan Ford from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. They also elevated to players for game day tight end Steven Carlson and cornerback Dallas Flowers. We're desperate for depth at those spots, especially at corner with all the injuries. And here's something interesting that's got me thinking. Neither second-year defensive end Austin Booker nor linebacker Amen Adbongbemiga were activated from IR, even though the team had an open roster spot. Booker's 21-day practice window closes Tuesday, so they'll have to make a call on him soon. Adbongbemiga's window opened back on October 16th. I think this tells us something about how the organization is handling these injuries. They're not rushing anyone back. They're being cautious, maybe too cautious for my taste. But after seeing what happened with Gordon, who came back only to get hurt again, maybe they're right to play it safe. But let me ask you, can we really afford to be cautious right now? With the roster this thin? If that caught you off guard, wait till you hear this. Because now we're talking about something that's completely flipped Ryan Poles' priorities heading into the trade deadline. And I mean completely. Before this wave of injuries in the secondary, the talk around Chicago was all about edge rushers or maybe adding a running back. That's what dominated the headlines. But now, with Gordon out for at least 4 weeks, Johnson still sidelined and Stevenson out too. The number one need for this team has changed drastically: cornerback. That's now the top priority for Ryan Poles before the November 5th deadline. Not edge rusher. Not running back. Cornerback, and it's not even close. Let me explain why this is so critical. Expecting this team to make it through the rest of the season, let alone compete for a playoff spot, with the current cornerback group, is straight up insane. It's just not gonna happen. Think about it. We're in the NFC North. We've got 2 games against the Packers with Jordan Love, 2 against the Vikings with Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson, 2 against the Lions with Jared Goff and that explosive offense. How are we supposed to cover those receivers with practice squad corners and guys playing out of position? Let me ask you, do you trust Josh Blackwell, a 179-pound corner who's mostly been on the practice squad, to go up against the best receivers in the division? Against Amon-Ra St. Brown? Against Justin Jefferson? I think we all know the answer. Reality is, Poles is in a tough spot. The cornerback market before the deadline isn't exactly overflowing. Teams with good corners usually don't trade them because they need them to. But Poles is gonna have to get creative. He's gonna have to make calls. He's gotta find teams that are out of the playoff hunt and might be willing to move a veteran corner. For draft picks. Now let's circle back to Braxton Jones, because that situation also affects the deadline. Jones landed on IR with a knee injury, which means he's not getting traded like some had speculated. He'd already lost his starting job to undrafted rookie Theo Benedette, which was a story in itself. The question was, could Jones have value on the trade market? There are definitely teams out there desperate for offensive tackle help. But with this knee injury, that conversation is dead. Jones stays in Chicago, and honestly, I'm not sure he would have brought back much in a trade anyway. Jones struggled early this season coming off ankle surgery from 2024, and then lost his starting gig. That's not exactly the kind of profile that makes other teams want to give up draft picks. So maybe this injury, while unfortunate for Jones personally, doesn't really change much for the team. What does change everything is the cornerback situation. And here's what really has me sweating: the clock. The deadline is November 5th. That's not far off. Poles needs to act fast. He needs to be on the phone right now, not next week, not in a few days right now. Because every day that goes by without a move is another day we're exposed. Another day a practice squad corner might have to play real snaps against a top-tier offense. Another day Dennis Allen has to stay up all night trying to figure out how to scheme with what little he's got. I believe Poles gets the urgency. He knows this window with Caleb Williams on a rookie deal is precious. We can't waste years of that window by not making the right moves at the right time. And this is one of those times. They also elevated Jonathan Ford from the practice squad. Ford's a 345-pound defensive tackle who's going to be needed to back up Gervin Dexter, Grady Jarrett, and Drew Billings, Chris Williams, and Shamar Turner. With the physical matchups coming up, especially against teams like the Ravens with Derrick Henry, we need all the beef we can get in the middle of that D-line. But let me ask you, do you think elevating a defensive tackle from the practice squad is enough? Or do we need to make bigger moves before the deadline? And just when you thought we were done, here comes the one that's really gonna hit Bears fans in the heart. Because now we're talking about something that goes beyond X's and O's. We're talking about durability, professionalism, and a streak that just came to an end. Cole Kmet, our starting tight end, has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Ravens with a back injury, and with that, his incredible streak of 90 straight games played comes to an end. 90 straight games. Let me say that again, 90 straight games. For a tight end in the NFL, that's flat out insane. And to put it in Bears history, that's the longest streak ever for a tight end in franchise history. You know who held the previous record? Mike Ditka. The legendary Mike Ditka played 84 straight games. Ditka was the Bears' first real tight end when the position was officially created in 1961, and Kmet passed that. That's something special, something that deserves recognition. Former Bears GM Jerry Angelo used to say tight ends and safeties were the most injury-prone positions in the NFL. Tight ends because they're big guys trying to move in space and do unnatural things. And because they have to block against even bigger guys, it's a brutal, physical position that beats up your body in ways most people don't appreciate. And Kmet did it for 90 straight games without missing one. That speaks to his preparation, his dedication, his ability to play through pain, and yeah, a little bit of luck too. Because in this sport, no matter how well you take care of yourself, sometimes injuries just happen. Now, the good news, if you can call it that, is that head coach Ben Johnson said Friday that Komet's back injury and Tyreek Stevenson's shoulder injury aren't serious enough for IR. That means we're not talking about a 4-week injury. We're talking maybe 1 or 2 weeks still. Losing Komet for this game against the Ravens is a big blow. Komet's been a key part of this offense. He's the starting tight end, the guy who blocks on the line, the guy who runs routes over the middle, the guy Caleb Williams looks for on third down when he needs a sure catch. With Komet out, we're gonna see more snaps for rookie Colston Loveland and backup vet Durham Smythe. Loveland's flashed some potential in limited action this season, but he's still a rookie. There's a learning curve. Smythe is a solid vet, a reliable blocker, but he's not the same kind of threat in the passing game as Komet. So let me ask you, can this offense stay efficient without Komet on the field? Can Loveland step up and be that safety valve for Caleb Williams? Now, while we're talking about Ironman streaks, we've got to mention DJ Moore. Moore was taken off the injury report this week after dealing with groin and hip issues. This guy has played 40 straight games with the Bears, and his overall streak is at 77. Going back to his time in Carolina. Ben Johnson talked about Moore on Friday and said, "I love the way he competes. I love the way he fights through stuff. We all appreciate his effort to be out there and battle with his teammates. Moore's the kind of player who just finds a way to stay on the field. He takes big hits, gets up, and gets back in the huddle. That's the mentality you need from your top guys. That's the mentality Komet showed for 90 straight games. And here's what really makes me appreciate what Komet's done. When you look at the all-time Ironman streaks in Bears history, you're talking about some of the greatest to ever wear navy and orange. Walter Payton started 184 straight games. The legendary Steve Mongo McMichael played in 191. Those are numbers that feel impossible in today's NFL. The all-time franchise record belongs to long snapper Patrick Manley with 245 games played, but let's be real. Long snapping doesn't compare to the physical toll of playing running back or defensive tackle without missing time. What Komet's done over these 90 games proves he's a top-tier pro. He's shown he understands what it means to be available for your team in the NFL. Sometimes the most important ability is availability. Doesn't matter how talented you are if you can't stay on the field. And now, with this back injury, that streak ends. It's bittersweet. On one hand, you hate to see it end. On the other, maybe it's better for Komet to take the time to fully heal instead of trying to gut it out and risking something worse. Johnson made it clear the injury isn't serious enough for IR, which means Komet should be back soon. Maybe a week, maybe 2, and when he returns, he'll start a new streak. He'll keep being that dependable pro he's always been, but for this Sunday against the Ravens, we've got to find a way to win without our starting tight end. We'll need Loveland and Smythe to step up. We'll have to tweak the game plan, maybe run more sets with multiple receivers instead of in-line tight ends. I think we can do it. I think this offense has enough talent elsewhere to get through 1 week without Komet. But let's not kid ourselves, it's going to be tougher without him. Do you think Loveland's ready to step up? Or are we going to see an offense that struggles without its starting tight end? Listen, we just broke down 3 massive stories that are going to shape the next few weeks for the Bears. First, Kyler Gordon's back on the injury list, which means Ryan Poles has to make a move for a cornerback before the deadline. There's no choice here. With Johnson and Stevenson also out, our secondary is wide open. Let me ask you, do you trust Poles to act with the urgency this situation demands? Drop a comment and tell me which corner you think we should go after. Second, we talked about how the trade deadline priorities have completely shifted. We're not talking edge rushers or running backs anymore. It's cornerback, and it's not even close. Braxton Jones landing on IR shuts down any trade talk around him, but honestly, that's not the biggest concern right now. Do you think we've got enough depth at corner to survive the rest of the season without making a move? I think the answer's pretty clear. And third, Cole Kmet's historic streak of 90 straight games comes to an end. 90 games! More than Mike Ditka. That's something we need to appreciate. Kmet has been the definition of availability and professionalism. Now, with him out against the Ravens, can Colston Loveland step up? Or are we gonna see an offense that struggles without its starting tight end? Let me know in the comments if you think Loveland's ready for this moment. Look, this is a critical week for the Bears. We're facing the Ravens, one of the AFC's best, and we're doing it with a roster torn apart by injuries. But here's the thing, this is the NFL. Injuries happen. Good teams find ways to win anyway. I believe this team has the heart to push through. I believe Caleb Williams is going to keep growing no matter who's out there with him. I believe this defense, even with all the injuries, is going to find a way to compete. But we need Ryan Poles to do his job before the deadline. If you're a real Bears fan, if you bleed navy and orange like I do, then you need to be here for every update, every piece of news, every breakdown. Because I promise you, the next few weeks are gonna be full of fireworks. The deadline's coming. The rumors are gonna fly. And you can't afford to miss any of it. So here's what I need you to do if you think Poles needs to act now. And get a corner before the deadline. Hit that like button. If you think we can ride it out with what we've got, drop a comment and tell me why. And if you want to be part of this family, this community of Bears fans who live and breathe this team every day, then subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you don't miss a thing, because this is more than just a YouTube channel. This is a community. This is a family of fans who understand what it means to be from Chicago, what it means to ride with the Bears through thick and thin. And right now, we need to stick together more than ever. The deadline is November 5th. That's less than 2 weeks away. And I promise we'll be here covering every move, every rumor, every decision Ryan Poles makes. Because you deserve the most up-to-date info and the deepest analysis on your team. So stick with us. Subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with other Bears fans. And most of all, keep the faith. Because this season still has a lot left in it. And I believe this team has what it takes to shock a lot of people. Bear down, Chicago. I'll see you in the next video with more exclusive Bears updates. And remember, in this family, we never quit. We never stop believing. And we never stop bleeding navy and orange.